So it is currently been probably about a year since last time I've uploaded on here. And that's quite a long time actually. So a lot's happened. Let me kind of catch you guys up real quick. So I ran indoor track, PRs, 427 the mile, about 936 in the 2. That's really all I did. Now on to outdoor, I went 424 in the mile, 946. Didn't really run that as much because I focused on the 4x8, which in the 4x8 I split about 149, went in the open about 202, and we got all state in the 4x8. So that's what we're mainly focused on my sophomore year. We're trying to get all state in the 4x8, and we had a good shot, and we knew it all year. So we just had to get the other guys, to help out, and we did, and we got, I think, 8th. So we barely got it, or 7th, but we got all state. So that's what we wanted. So with that, my 32 did kind of fall off a little bit because I was mainly focused on the shorter distances. So then that's why you see the increase. I mean, I guess the drop in my 1600, which, I mean, it wasn't too bad of a time. I ran that at a pretty big meet. I was able to just jump on the pack and follow on and latch on, which was really good. Now, what this video is about is this year, my junior XC season. Now let's recap it. So let's get it started. So my first meet, I mean, it was 16:55. I just come off of injury, I think maybe 2 weeks prior. So I was still building up to what I wanted to be running at that time. And it was kind of a tactical race. It was kind of weird. I mean, me and the kid that were racing, it was our county preview. We both wanted to win the preview. And we were both in pretty good shape until that point. So we just kind of sat the first 2 miles with the rest of the pack. And then the last mile, we both separated. But, I mean, he was in better shape at that time. So, I mean, I came away and got second place, which I'm not too mad about. I mean, I closed my last mile pretty good, which gave me some hope for the rest of the season. All right, so now on to meet number 2. So this was our first time running at this course. I mean, it was a hard course. I'm going to be honest. It was a really hard course. I mean, like, my legs were already shot. I was back up to my full mileage. I was running a lot again. And then, like, going into this race, my legs were already hurting. So then, halfway into the race, it was just like, oh, crap. I just was already, like, feeling it. And then at the end, it didn't help that I was like, you went uphill, you went a little bit, and then went all the way up again, and then went down. But, I mean, those hills, I was like walking up. Like, it was bad. And yeah, I was like 17:20 something, 17:24. I mean, not my best race. Could have pushed a little harder in some places, but like at the same time, I guess the injury was still in effect, but I'm not gonna kind of blame the injury, but it was definitely a harder course. But it was fun in the sense that like there was 3 different packs, and one went off 1 minute, and then the next went off another minute, and then the final pack went off a minute. So, I mean, it was fun in the sense that I was trying to chase people, and I was weaving back and forth, and like it kind of like helped me run with a lot of people around me and kind of get through people. So that was fun, and that was kind of a good takeaway from that race, and that's what I really liked from that race. So now, meet number 3, which was my first meet.
Come on, Moses!
Off of
keep working,
higher
baby.
mileage.
Keep working.
And
Let's
it
go,
felt
boys.
good. I went to the meet feeling really good, actually. And I knew I could run a lot better times than my 16:55 and my 17:20 earlier that season. So I was like, all right, we're going to go in. We're going to go with the lead pack. We're going to hang in for as long as we could. And that's kind of what I did. I hung in with the top pack.
Come on, Moses!
I mean,
stay with that front group.
Me and this
Get
group
him,
of 2
boy. Stay with
fell
that
off a
front
little bit,
group.
and I just hung in with them, and I didn't really let them go. And it was good. I ended up kicking pretty well. Went 16:03, so it was a pretty good race. Definitely a big season best, I guess. I mean, it was way better than what I thought. I mean, I thought I could go around 16 flat, but just running 16 flat was pretty good, especially that early in the season compared to my other seasons. So that's what I really was like kind of hopeful about for the rest of the season. That, I mean, if I was able to run that fast, I guess, for me in that time, then hopefully the rest of the season would just continue to see those drops. So now we're getting into the first Jamboree, and this was an interesting race. I mean, from the start, I thought there was gonna be this other kid running, and he's a pretty fast runner, so I thought he was gonna be in the race. Race starts, gun goes off. I'm looking around to see he's in the race, and he's not there. But his teammate is pretty good also, so it was just me and him up front pushing pace from the very get, and we were just hammering the course, going after it. And it was the same course that I just raced that Saturday, and I came back on a Tuesday and raced it again. So, I mean, legs were kind of shot.
There you
They
go,
were feeling
baby.
heavy,
Keep
but I was
working.
just trying to go for the win at this point.
Keep
Because, I
working,
mean,
buddy.
I knew I could. And we're just battling the whole time. Probably around, I think, close to 3 miles. He kicked, and I didn't have no response for that. So then he won
Come on, boy.
ultimately,
Put it on.
and I
Put it
didn't.
on. Put
So,
it
I mean,
on.
I was kind of mad
Dig
about
deep,
it.
dig
I
deep,
think
baby.
it went
Put it on.
about
Let's go. Go, boy.
16 maybe. So, I mean, wasn't something I was proud of, but I mean, definitely kind of helped me out that, I mean, from the past years in those kind of jamborees, I was never kind of up there in a sense because I had a lot of good guys, and it was like, okay, well, even without me kind of performing to what I wanted to, I was still in second place. So, I mean, it felt good, and I knew that eventually I could probably win one, and it was pretty good. I mean, season was going pretty much to plan. I'm more of a late season bloomer anyway, so I wasn't really too worried about the beginning of the season. I like to step it up around mid-season, and that's when I kind of take over and I start to cruise and the times start to go down. So now the Jackson Invite. So this race. Whew. So this race was, it just wasn't a good race. So I went 16:03 again, and
Good
it felt
job,
a lot harder.
Moses.
A lot
Let's
harder
like
than it
it.
felt. And I mean, looking back at it, I probably should have pushed a lot harder in some places. I mean, there was this kid coming in seated to win. He was a lot I guess a lot faster. He was going like 16:30s at this point. I mean, 15:30s, my bad. And I mean, I hadn't even broke 16 at this point. So
Let's
I mean,
go, Moses.
ultimately,
Keep working,
it was like
baby.
kind of
Stay right there, Moses.
Good job, Moses.
scary,
Keep
I
working,
guess. I
baby.
mean, I didn't want to go with him and die, so I kind of just sat back and tried to preserve myself, and I ran with the second place runner, me and him. And same thing happened as in the Jamboree number 1.
Good job, Moses.
I ran with probably this
Keep
time with half a
working,
mile
boy.
to a K left. I got dropped like bad, and I mean, I was trying to go, but it just really wasn't working. So I mean, I was trying to after that, I had to figure out something, and I was like thinking, how could I improve the last half of my race better? Because it was
Come
2
on,
weeks in
Moses,
a row
right
now
now.
that
Up and down, up and down.
it had happened that I was
Fast as
set
you
up
can,
in a
all
good
you got.
position
Let's go.
to run a pretty good time,
Go, Moses.
and I
Everything.
didn't follow through, or I could have won a race and I didn't follow through because the last half of the race, or like not even the last like mile and last half a mile of a race, I just completely, I don't know, just like completely shut down, I guess, and that wasn't really what I wanted. Like I shut down, and it just was something I had to work on in the season. So I mean, as the season went on, I kind of worked on with the reps, each rep getting faster progressively, and maybe that would help my later stages of the race. And I mean, it really did. I felt like me running my practices and my workouts like how I wanted to race helped me a lot, and trying to perform in how I wanted to run the race. So I'm glad I did that. It was a lot different than Jamboree number 1. I mean, this one, Jamboree number 1 is both divisions, red and white, and then Jamboree number 2 is just my division. And so that kid that I lost to wasn't there, so I'd be running alone.
Be smart.
And I
Remember
mean,
to be
it was
smart.
kind of exciting though. Not because I didn't want to race him. I wanted to race him again, but in the sense that I could win. I hadn't won an XC race up to this point. I mean, so from the gun, I just led, and I just took the lead right away. And I mean, I didn't really look back. And I knew at this point,
Let's
I
go,
was
Mijo.
like,
You got
I
this.
needed a good
Keep
time.
working.
I had
Keep
to establish
working.
myself, and it was like I knew what I could do,
Let's
so
go, boy.
I wanted to show
Great
myself
job,
that, and
baby.
I went out really hard and really strong, and I just kept pushing and kept hammering, and I ended up running 15:51, and I came away with the win, which was such a confidence boost, especially like at this time of the season.
Right here. All
Sophomore and
heart.
junior year, I
Everything you got. Finish
hadn't
strong.
even
Finish
run,
strong. Come on, you're doing great, baby. Let's go.
hadn't even ran in the 15s yet, so that was a lot
Let's
better.
go, Moses.
And also, it was my first win, so it was like a big confidence boost. And going into our next meet, which was a really big invitational and a fast invitational, where I knew I could run a good time, and running a good time right there with nobody around me was like pretty good because I knew what I could do. So then Ostigo happened, and I went 15:39. I PR'd by 3 seconds, so I mean, it was a great race essentially. I mean, everything went to plan. I mean, all the work that I've been putting into the summer was finally paying off now, and I was excited. I mean, I PR'd finally. I was running good. I was feeling better than ever, and like, I got 4th place, I think. So I mean, I was placing well in every single meet. I think my lowest place up to that point was 9th at the second meet of the year, but other than that, I was placing really well, and my goal was kind of to get top 10 every single race this year, and I hadn't failed that up to this point, so I was really excited about that, and I was just PRing at this early stage in the season, running better, that I knew the season was going to be good, and I was just like trying to keep on riding the momentum that I had, and I really did. From then on to the rest of the season, I did a good job of kind of not looking ahead at any races either. I was kind of just looking at one race at a time, and not even kind of one day at a time, looking at the next workout.
Come on, Moses.
Talking to my coach about the
Go,
workout.
baby, go, baby,
what are we
go.
going to do for the workout? And then I was coming up with, all right, I'm going to run this for the first one, and I was really working on cutting down from the first to last rep, and that's what really helped me. This race, I was just hanging on with the group, and we went out. We didn't go out too hard, but I was just hanging in with the group, and I really was trying to push it that last mile, and I felt that my when running the reps at the faster each time was really coming into play, because I didn't feel like bad when I tried to pick it up in the end of the race, and I was feeling good finally, which I knew was a good sign. And then Portage is like our biggest invitational in Michigan, and it was really big actually. It was a New Balance sponsored meet, and we had people coming from quite a few different states. So I wanted to do good, and I wanted to get, I think it was top 7, top 7, got a bag, and I got 8, and I went like 15:40s. So I went out too hard, and I just ended up dying the last half mile, and the time that I've been training to go the last half mile and been picking it up, it didn't kick in because I just went out way too hard, and it came back, and then the last stretch I got passed again by a kid to ultimately not get me the bag, which I really wanted, and I was so mad after the race. And then it was back to, alright, I can't let this happen again. This is now the 3rd time this season. So it was really just like, I can't let this keep happening, because I don't want that to be the difference from something else eventually down the line, of me letting somebody beat me and I don't got no response for it. I want to be able to go with him, and be able to go with him and run and keep going and have a response and possibly beat him and get whatever I want, like in this case, the bag that I wanted.
Okay,
so
number 9, Jonah Workman.
I mean, it was just back to, all right, end of the workout, let's go and see how fast we can run this rep.
Moses Salazar,
Wow.
number 8.
And
All right,
when I'm tired,
so
when during the race when I'm tired, it's like nothing. It's just picturing as the last 1K, the last 800, the last 400 of the rep, or whatever, and we're just going for it. So now, this is championship season. This is when it all really starts to matter. So, what everybody ran, and I guess the season doesn't really matter now, because people peak early, people peak late. I mean, it's just like, it's a game that like some people play where, I mean, they want to kind of get antsy and run fast times in the beginning of the season, and they don't perform well at the end of the season. Or people, they don't care about the beginning of the season and they only care about this time, and this is when they start to run fast times. But this is our county championship now, and this was a harder course. The last 2 years I was like 1640s. This year I went 16 flat, and I got second to the same kid that I lost to in the preview. And this race, I really wanted to try to win. So from the get, I took it out hard the first mile, and I held in there through 2 miles, and I was holding strong actually until about 2.5. I started to pull away. Again, same thing that's been happening all year, a reoccurrence. Pulled away, and I had no answer again. And I was starting to think, well, not I was starting to think. It wasn't really that the fact that what I was doing was wrong. It was just that I didn't want to go with them. I didn't want to go with them and then die out even more and not be able to finish. That was my biggest thing that I've always been scared of, is dying out. So I didn't want to go with them, and I didn't want to take the risk of going with them. And because I knew that, he had run a faster time than me this season, so I didn't want to go with him and challenge him in a sense, because I felt like it was kind of too hard and it would hurt too much, I guess. And that's something I got over in the last parts of the season, where I wasn't really scared to die out. I wasn't scared of the pain anymore, and that's what really helped me and thrived me through the rest of the season. So this race was kind of just like my last little wake-up call. It was the 4th time it happened, so I was like, all right, you gotta straighten up. And I was like, it's not that you don't have enough to go. It's more that you don't want to go. You don't want to give yourself the chance. You don't want to stick in the race. You don't want to feel the pain. So that was just something I was telling myself. You gotta be a little bit more. Be a little more gutsy. And it really helped from then. I really used it, and I wasn't really scared of the pain as much. So then, our SEC championship was next, and coming into this, I knew I was gonna win. Nobody was touching me, I guess, in a sense. There's this one kid from another school. He's pretty fast. He's pretty good, but I had already beat him this season, and I was running excellent times. What I was running was good. So I knew that coming into this race, I was gonna win probably. And I just kind of sat with him the first mile, and then I was like, all right, so now it's practice going that second mile. And the second mile I really pulled away, and then I was just like, the last 1K I was like, all right, try to hammer it. And I was trying to go, and I was going the last 1K, and it felt pretty good. I went 15:57 on a little harder of a course, not maybe as hard as the previous week, but it was still probably just about as hard, but which was good. Was really racing along the last 2 miles, so it was pretty good. Was the SEC champion, and I won a race again, so my confidence was still building, and it was feeling good, and that was a good sign going into regionals. So now, regionals. This is like where it starts to get interesting in the season, because this region, it was, I don't know, I knew I was gonna win, but I never underestimate somebody. Like last race, I knew I was gonna win, but I didn't want to underestimate the kid. This race, he was a pretty good runner. You'll see in the next, like when I talk about it next week at States, but this week, let's start off with the very beginning actually. So we got to the start line, and I'm getting ready and everything, and we're about to have the gun go off, and all of a sudden I'm about to take off my shirt, and what's that? I have no bib on. So I hurry up and go sprinting over to I guess, ref or whatever you want to call him. I guess judge. I don't really know, but and he was like, "All right, you got like 2 minutes. I'll figure out something to stall." So one of my coaches go running over to get my bib out of my bag, and I'm putting it on as we're at the line, and then I'm so mad because I don't know how I forgot something like that, and it made me so mad. So like I'm putting it on as we're about to start, and as soon as the gun goes off, I'm putting on my last pin. So I hurry up and like take off while putting my bib on still. And I mean, I had so much adrenaline up to that point. So I really took off that first stretch, and I led that race from start to end. I mean, the adrenaline really helped me, I guess. I mean, I really just hammered through that whole race. It was a flat course, but it was by a lake, so the back half of the race was really windy, so I was running against headwind. But I mean, I finished first. I won the region, which was exciting for me because I mean, it was the first time that somebody in our school had done it in a while. So I mean, it was pretty good, and I had also run another PR of 15:33 this time, which was even more exciting, especially going into states. And I mean, from that point, I kind of knew what I could do at states and what I wanted to do at states. I had my eyes kind of like looking at the record that was set by one of the seniors when I was a freshman, 15:20. And I knew that with some competition that I could possibly get pushed to that time, and I was excited for it. I mean, and it was a state meet, so what better time to run a good time than then? So the state meet, it was fun. It definitely was fun. So I took a little bit more of a conservative approach to this, and I didn't go out as hard. Kind of sat back, ran with the second pack, the trailing pack, and I kind of led that pack. And we went through the mile like perfect time what I wanted to. And the next 2 miles we kind of just hung in there. And I was sitting around 10th the whole race, and that's kind of what I was aiming for all year. That was my goal, top 10. And then like 10th between 13th. And then coming down the last stretch, there was a big group of us coming, and it was like we all came back to back to back. But we have a clock at 3 miles, and I saw that time, and all I was thinking in my head was like me training with that senior my freshman year and picturing him in front of me, and I was just like, all right, come on, there's no better time now. And I was just like we're in a workout, and I was just up and down trying to go get him at the end. And I mean, it was like kind of fun to picture that again because it was 2 years ago, and I mean, running was really fun then. I mean, it still is, but it was like super fun when he was there,
11th,
and it was just like way better. But I mean, it was just like old times. I mean, I was just gunning for him, just up and down. I was trying to go get it,
10th to
and
Dominic
then
Lowry, Battle Creek.
I finished 11th. I was one place off of what I've been working for all year. I mean, that was my goal, to get 11th. I mean, not 11th, top 10. And I was one place. I caught a few guys on last stretch. And I mean, the kid that I just beat last week at regionals was finished right behind me. And I mean, that really pushed me because I was like, I just beat him last week. I cannot let him beat me this week. So I was just like, come on, let's go. And like I said, it was just like when I am back to freshman year, when I was training, I mean, I had people to train with. I mean, this year was a little harder. Didn't have nobody to train with, kind of, and it was a lot on my own. And it was like a big step for me because the past 2 years I had people to train with, so definitely was harder. But I think I made the best out of it. And it made me a lot better because during some of the races I was running alone, and the races weren't long anymore. Like when I would run a track and I would run alone in like a 32 in a dual meet or something like that. These races were fine running alone because how much I'd run alone over the summer. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So, we have a MICA meet. It's called the Meet of Champions. And this is essentially like the last race of the year. And I wanted to do good. I mean, I wanted to get top 10 still. I mean, that was still my goal all year. I was trying to go for it again. And I mean, I didn't do it last week, and I was like, okay, well, what's going to stop me from doing it this year? It's all divisions, no Division 1, no Division 2, whatever, all divisions in one race. So we got a few guys that don't race it, but I mean, for the most part, it's a lot of good runners. We got the people from up north running too. So I was like, all right, let's go after top 10 again. So, I mean, I got drafted onto a Team Moneyball, and we got some free jerseys and stuff, so it was pretty cool. And this was a Hoka sponsored event, so I mean, that was nice too. But this race, I was like, I just went 15:24. Let's go after the record now again. And I was like 15:18. And then came through the first mile. I was in like 20th place, but I felt so good. It was 4:59. I mean 4:49. And I knew a lot of people would go out too fast, so second mile I really just worked on moving up through the race, and came through around 9:40s high. And I was like, I got a really good shot at this. And I was at around 10th, 12th place, and then that whole second to third mile I really worked on just picking off people and connecting back to the chase pack, and I was just hanging in there. And then the last like 0.1 again, it was just like chasing the clock again. I was just like, come on, let's go. And then when I crossed the line, I didn't know what I had ran, because I mean, the clock's a little deceiving sometimes. You see a time, but since the clock's not at the finish line and you can't see it all the way through, you think you ran a time, but you might have ran 2 seconds slower. So I was like, I saw around 15:17, maybe 15:18. So I was like, oh, I don't know if I got it. But turns out I ran exactly what I saw, 15:18. And I was just like really excited to see like what I had worked for all season had paid off. And it was just like I was like beyond excited. I mean, the kids who I broke the record, it's their meet, and not their meet, but like they helped host the meet, and he was there and he saw me break the record. He was happy for me, and I mean, I was happy myself. I mean, that was something that I was thinking about throughout high school, and I was like, well, I mean, this year I don't know. I maybe might get close. 15:24. That's what I was like. Okay, I don't know how much faster, but next year for sure I'll get it. But when I got it this year, it was really just like, okay, well, now what can I do for track? Because it just made me like so much more excited with what I just ran, and just seeing what I could do in track with how much faster I ran from last year compared to 15:42 to 15:18 now, and what I was running in track already. So, I mean, I'm really excited to see what I can do this year. And then, so, I went to training again, and for 2 weeks, no racing, and I was getting ready for Foot Locker. And I was in the Midwest, so, I mean, very competitive. We had a lot of guys that were well known, and I mean, I guess I got nervous. I really did get nervous, because I tried to run a little too conservative, and it was really cold, so that didn't really go hand in hand. And just, you can't run real conservative against some of the top guys in the nation. It's not going to work, especially someone like me who's not running nearly as fast as them. I can't cut down time on them. It's going to be way too hard. So I try to go out slower and just try to hammer the last half of the race like I've been doing the past 2 races, and it didn't work because those guys are just a lot faster than the people that I raced to be doing that. So I mean, I definitely learned from that race, especially when it's cold like that. I have to get out faster. And I mean, just to warm up my body too, because through that mile I was still really cold, and my muscles were just not how I would want it, not how like they should have been. They weren't like, they were still too stiff. So definitely should have got out a way faster. Not way faster, but definitely got out faster to where I was in the race, and instead of trying to make a big move at mile 1 to 2 to try to put myself in a race when it was already too late, and I was still really cold up to that point. I was still like, muscles were like tense and everything. So I mean, I didn't really warm up until probably the last 400 of that race, and that's when I started to kind of moving a little bit and started getting the legs to go, but it was way too late by then. And I finished in 39th. So, I mean, I guess I'll take it for definitely not running the most smartest race, but I mean, that's kind of why I went there. I went there to compete, to try to compete, I guess, and to learn. And I did compete pretty well. I mean, I'd take 39th at the end of the day compared to the whole Midwest. And I did learn. I did learn that I can't get nervous in big races like that, especially like when I know people and I know names. I mean, I can't get nervous and I can't let that take me out of my race and to ultimately determine the kind of race I'm going to have. And I got to get a little faster and kind of just jump on the train like how I do sometimes. And I got to be able to adjust to different race strategies. Sometimes it's going to work to run a little more conservative, and then sometimes it's going to work to go out harder. It's just what the race is given. And I got to learn that. I can't just kind of go with one race plan. It's what kind of race is given to you is what you got to go with. So that's what I learned from that. And I mean, it was a really good season overall. I hit a big mark and I was really happy with it. So now I'm just back to training and I'm excited to see, I mean, what indoor track and I guess outdoor track has. I mean, I think I can throw down some pretty good times on the track, and I'm just, yeah, excited to see what I can do, because knowing how much more I progressed during cross with how much more I worked, and I just worked a lot harder to see if it's basically just do the same thing, get back at it, and work just as hard for this track season, if not harder, because this is what really matters right now, my junior year. So, I mean, this is what I want to do. So, I mean, it's what I got to go after. So now that's just like the season recap. That kind of wraps it all up. So, from 1655 or 1720 all the way to 1518, it was definitely a grind. I mean, the summer miles, it was hard. It was really hard. Those runs running alone all the time on the workouts, those were hard too. But I mean, I ended up working out, and it's gonna be more of that this winter. And so I can't get tired of it now, because it's just the beginning. Actually, it was only one season, and now I got 2 more ahead of me. So still more. So, but I'm excited. I got Christmas break next week, and a lot of the guys that I ran with last year and the previous year, they're back right now and they're home. So I have some easy run buddies right now to run, so that'll get me through the easy runs. But once they leave back in January, it'll go back to being a grind again, just me and the workouts and just doing what I did again and just slowly progressing. And I mean, hopefully running some good times. So, I mean, I'm pretty excited. I think, yeah, I'm just really excited to see what I can do. And, well, I know what I can do, but I want to prove to everyone else what I can do. And that, I mean, it's definitely going to be hard, because a lot of these races I'm going to have heavy legs, because it's going to be like my building season, and I'm going to build up again. So, I mean, if I'm able to run good times and heavy legs and push through it, then when I get to track season and my legs are fresh, it's going to be a lot better, and I can't wait for that. But, I mean, this is going to be the YouTube channel again. But I don't want to promise that, because last time I made 2 videos and I was done. So, hopefully this time I maybe get out a few more, but I mean, it's kind of hard with math. I have a lot of math homework and just a lot like homework in general. So, I mean, and with running and I guess like the stuff I do outside of running, like to help me as well. But that all takes a lot of time and effort. So, I mean, whenever I do get a chance like tonight, then I can try to make a video, or I mean, Or I can even do what I did last time. Go take you on like a workout. Take you guys on like a workout. Go through a workout. And that could be a video. But I don't want to promise weekly videos or anything. Because I don't really know if they'll be weekly. But I can promise a few videos about potentially races. And those would definitely be videos. If I can get into a race that I have in mind, and if I can do good, then it'll be a good video. But other than that, I mean, I guess next video will happen, I don't know when, but for now, this is a video until one of those big races happens. So, I guess I'll see you guys.